I want to talk about adaptive architecture on this summit. First, I will go back in history, not like we've seen before, or quite a futuristic project. I want to take you a little bit back and show you this picture. Adaptive architecture has a long history. This is a picture of the Persian army invading Greece, building a bridge out of boats and marching through this bridge 1,300 meters into Greece over the water. Another example from history about adaptive architecture is, of course, all the nomad cultures. We see here tent structures, yurts on the bottom from the Mongolians or the Red Indians from America, as well as the Bedouins here from the Arabic area. Nomadic cultures built their tents to travel along the weather conditions and also to find food and whatever, wherever it was possible. And therefore their structures had to be of lightest weight and sustainable materials in order to protect them from harsh weather conditions. And of course, in order to be able to pack together all of their homes and carry them along wherever they needed to go in search of food and water. So materials was a very important subject from the early ages. Also in our work for adaptive architecture, materials is a very important topic. Here we can see carbon fibers and glass fibers being woven to bigger mats and then treated with a special resin, and then it's formed into molds and then cured within the oven. And then to give it a final finish and make it extremely durable, we clad it with ceramic tiles. One example of this kind of architecture or technology used in architecture can be seen here in Medina in one of our projects, the sliding domes on the Prophet's Mosque. The sliding domes were constructed as the client had the request to have a natural climate within those courtyards, which are covered by the sliding domes. His idea was that we create a climate like under a palm tree, which of course with built architecture is not possible. Palm trees or any kind of plants create a natural air conditioning by photosynthesis, exchanging CO2 to H2. And therefore maintaining temperatures below 30 degrees. However, with our lightweight structures and convertible structures, we were able to create such a similar climate by closing those movable roof structures in the winter time during night to keep out the coldness from the clear sky, and also the early morning hours, keeping the energy inside the building instead of cooling it out to the night sky. Versus in the summer, these structures are opened, the roof removes, and we let in the morning and at night we let in the hot energy, and at daytime we can shade it off and keep the sun's energy out. And therefore creating a natural climate, bringing fresh air inside and keeping this on the energy consumption very low, but of course with a very sustainable climate. Another subject of convertible structures is the Mecca City. This is a different approach to convertible structures or adaptive architectures. It's a whole city which is practically planned and built on the concept of convertible structures. All the tents are made from non-combustible PDFE materials and are built in such a way that they can be dismantled or installed once they are needed. The whole area is occupied once a year by about 2 to 3 million visitors that come to this valley and outside of Mecca due to the Hajj in the Hajj season. Here you can see how the tents are being dismantled, which gives the steel structure, of course, the minimum requirements, as it's an open structure during most time of the year, and only once the visitors come, the tents are being covered with roofs and walls, flooring is being put inside, which can be done in the course of a few weeks. This gives us a very efficient and durable steel structure, and of course very low impact on the valley itself. No huge foundations, no heavy works are involved in this. Altogether, the city can then host 2 to 3 million pilgrims And this is done only once a year for a course of about 4 weeks. The whole concept of the city was planned in this adaptive architectural philosophy. Even the infrastructure, toilets, ablution areas, cooking areas, water supply, everything was built as mobile structures. What you can see here on the left is a water tower, which is a lightweight structure being installed, filled with water and supplying water to the ablution areas. What you can see on the right side of the screen, the ablution areas being manufactured as a container size, so it can be transported in and transported out in a fast manner, and therefore keeping a very high level of hygiene. So compared to permanent installed infrastructure, where you of course need a lot of maintenance, a lot of heavy equipment, and of course hygienically it also becomes difficult with such a big impact of people. Going from the tent city, I want to talk a little bit about this material, PTFE membranes. PTFE is a pure Teflon material which is extremely durable, especially against UV light in this high sun radiation of especially harsh desert climates like here in Egypt and also in Saudi Arabia or the Gulf region in general. PTFE does not deteriorate. We have done installations now since 40 years with this material, and we have practically zero loss on the integrity of these membranes. For the tents, of course, this was very important in order to keep them non-combustible and protect the pilgrims. And also for our folding structures, the umbrella, this is absolutely imperative, since the folding of these umbrellas wears very strongly on the material, especially then in UV lighting. This brings me to the last project I want to show you here briefly, the Medina Piazza shading. In the center we see the Holy Haram in Medina, which is then surrounded by 250 umbrella structures, increasing in the high season, and that's important, only in the high season, it's increasing the area of the mosque to over double the size. Now this whole installation could have been done by a permanent building, which again then causes a huge impact construction-wise on the whole surrounding, and then of course a lot of cost impact for maintenance and operation of such a building, which then only is used in very occasional times, high season, either Umrah, Ramadan or Hajj. These umbrella structures form a complete closed roof to protect the people underneath from harsh conditions. No sun and rainwater can come down in the piazza areas, and it transforms this whole inner city from an open square, like a market area where people meet and gather, to this kind of closed roof structure. However, it maintains the feeling and the atmosphere of an open air structure, as you can see the sky and you can see the surrounding city. This gives a complete different perception to the people, and of course allows for much higher crowd densities than a closed building, which people can get easily claustrophobic and also feel uncomfortable if it gets too dense. Here you can see some impressions how the city changes once the umbrellas open up. It's really from an open, sunlit square, it changes into this kind of shaded, protected roof structure, which is also in the same time used as a climatic control. Here's a picture from the winter times where the umbrellas are kept open in the winter to keep the energy inside underneath the umbrellas and not let the area cool off against the cold night sky. And then versus in the daytime where you can open up the umbrellas and let the building mass and the flooring and everything get heated up by the sun, and then exchange the heat to the people and making it a more comfortable climate. This is in the daytime, of course. In summer it's the opposite. In summer you want to keep the extreme heat off, and you shade the people which are gathering underneath, and you protect them from these extreme weather conditions, creating sufficient space for the people to pray and feel comfortable. Finally, I want to show you just a short video clip of the opening and closing, since this is really a marvelous experience, which gives you this whole change of the inner city from a closed structure to an open square. You can see how the umbrellas are closing, and it's really a conversion of the whole city. And the beauty about these lightweight and adaptive architecture is that you can fold it away, move it away while you don't need it. Compared to the permanent building structure, which is always remaining in place, and of course using a lot of power and energy to maintain it, keep it clean, and operate it. Thank you. This is all from my side.